Going back all the way to 1940, changes have been made to the Social Security system to be more inclusive to widows and survivors. And while those efforts have made tremendous improvements to how the Social Security system operates for that group of people, Social Security has done, in my opinion, a terrible job of educating those beneficiaries as to what their rights are, what they're entitled to, and how they should be going about filing for these benefits. What we're going to do today is break these people down into two basic categories. And while that's generally the exact opposite of what I like to do, create blanketed advice, that's not the purpose of today's video. The purpose of today's video is to highlight that while there are two main sectors, finding the exact right balance for you and how to marry the two benefits, both yours and your ex or deceased spouses, makes a tremendous difference not only for you in the near term, but for your entire retirement and for the rest of your life. Let's go through what those scenarios are, and we'll talk about how they may apply in your scenario. But as usual, if your scenario is unique or we don't talk about it in this video and you have questions, feel free to reach out. We try to learn something every day, so if there's a scenario that we aren't covering here, please let us know. Let's talk about who is eligible for this benefit before we dive into the nuts and bolts. We'll put up a graphic for you here. If you are a widow or your ex-spouse died, you may be eligible to receive benefits on your late spouse's or ex-spouse's Social Security record. How much you receive will depend on your age, the amount of benefits you may receive on your own record, and whether you have dependent children. Seems like a lot of variables. Let's dive into a couple real-life scenarios to see what those variables mean and how they impact our filing decisions. Widows usually fall into one of two categories. Category one is the spouse who maybe didn't pay as much into the system as the spouse who has passed away. For example, a wife that stayed home to take care of the children for a period of years probably paid less into the system than her husband, who was going to work and contributing into that system daily. And while as a contributor to a stay-at-home parent family, I know that stay-at-home work is much more valuable, there is no contribution to the Social Security system that comes along with it. And so your benefits may look significantly lower than what your partners did. And in that scenario, here's how we lay that out. Let's look at Clara. Clara falls into category number one. She contributed less to the system than her partner did. And so her benefit at full retirement age is only going to be about $11.25. It's okay. She contributed some into the system. That's what she's due to receive back. But the primary insurance amount of her deceased partner is significantly higher, about $27.50 at full retirement age. And so that opens up some potential options. And while they may not be huge on the surface, they have long-lasting impacts. Let's dive in. Our software goes through every possible scenario that exists for Clara and her deceased ex-spouse, looks at all the available options, looks at all of the information that we gave it, and looks at all of the details that Clara thinks are important. How long she's going to live, how much money she needs, how much she's due to bring in. And it compares for her of all of the different ways that exist for her to file and receive her benefit, the suggested strategy, which allows for her to receive the very most out of the system, comparative to if she just filed now at the earliest possible time. All the other scenarios that exist are kept in the background, but if you ever wanted to explore them, we could look at all of them that are there. But let's take a look at what this suggested strategy says for Clara. While Clara is still working and bringing in an income, that income is lower than what the income means test allows for. And so she can file for this benefit, receive it, and still collect her income of about $17.50 monthly. And the $700 pension that she's bringing in, either from herself or from her ex-spouse, doesn't get counted towards that number. And we've illustrated that in a different video, what that income means test does and doesn't count. But for Clara, she can file and receive her own benefits early, before her full retirement age, because she's under the income threshold of about $900 a month. She can start doing that today. It will have no impact on her long term. It will not reduce what she brings in from a widow's benefit at a later point, and she's going to file a restricted application for her benefits only in this month and start collecting the benefit. Now, this allows for her to bring in additional income now while she's still working that she otherwise would have just forfeited if she didn't do this filing strategy. Now let's fast forward. We're all the way to December of 2027. Doesn't seem like it's that far away, but it's still a few years out. Clara at this point has advanced to 66 and 10 months. She no longer gets benefit to her delaying her widow's benefit, full retirement age, and that benefit now has grown to $3,167. This represents about a $14,000 increase over Clara's lifetime with this strategy versus if she had just filed at the earliest possible time with no guidance. And while $14,000 or $15,000 may not sound like a lot of money to you, to a widow like Clara, it makes a huge difference going forward. So we have Clara's expected income need at about $4,000 a month, adjusted for inflation of about 2.4%. And so as we go through time, our software is accounting for inflation and for what her benefits are going to be. And it's going to show us exactly how short she comes up of that $4,000 goal monthly. We come up significantly closer than if we just filed at the earliest possible time. And we're going to illustrate that for you here. So here's the suggested strategy. And here's the earliest possible strategy. And so for Clara, delaying may not on the surface seem like it makes that big of a difference. But $7,000 short of our goal annually is a lot different than $13,000 or $14,000 short of our goal annually. And in retirement, those little bits here and there can make a huge difference to your peace of mind and how much you enjoy that retirement. Clara needs to squeeze the most out of Social Security that she can. And so that extra $14,000 or $15,000 over the course of her lifetime could allow her to possibly retire earlier, or at least to have a little bit more peace of mind heading into retirement, that she has a plan in place that is going to allow her to get the most out of both what she contributed to the system and her ex-spouse contributed to the system. Reach out if this is you. We'll help you find your exact scenario. But let's look at if this isn't you. What is the other scenario that we see? Well, the other scenario that we see is spouses that roughly contribute the same over the course of their lifetimes and have similar benefits lined up. But what if one predeceases and doesn't get collect on those benefits? What do we do then? Let's dive in. Let's assume, for the sake of this illustration, that Clara's income had been a lot closer to what her spouse's or her partner's had been. And her full retirement age benefit was set to be about $28.53, while her partner's full retirement age benefit was set to be about $29.50. Roughly the same numbers. It provides for us a very different Social Security strategy that allows for over $100,000 to be collected in addition to what would be collected on just a normal strategy. Here's what that looks like. The strategy here on the surface is obviously much more impactful. We've got about $157,000 difference in filing strategies. $157,000 to a widow is representative of a lot of freedom financially and a big change in how they go about living the rest of their life. Let's explore what this looks like in detail. Clara's going to file a restricted application for her widow's benefit to collect off of her deceased spouse's earnings record. That benefit is going to start immediately, and it's going to be about $28.01. What this allows for, however, this allows for Clara's personal benefit, the benefit that is under her earnings record, not her spouse's, which she's currently collecting, to continue to get delayed credits all the way until age 70. And so her benefit at that time will be significantly higher than if she just filed for it now. In February of 2031, she will file a standard application for her retirement benefits at age 70. and her benefit will have risen all the way up to $4,078, almost eliminating the need for her to pull from her retirement accounts, assuming that she still has the same $4,000 a month income need. And so what does that look like really? It allows for us to have a surplus in retirement, just from our pension that we are collecting and from our Social Security after age 71 for Clara. And so on the surface, this seems like a very small decision, but $157,000 makes a huge difference to Clara in this example over the course of her retirement. Instead of a surplus in retirement, if she just did the earliest possible scenario, she'd still be hit with a $12,800 deficit with the same income need, just with a different filing strategy. These strategies matter. How you file for your benefit matters. Do you want to come up with a surplus in retirement based off of your Social Security in your scenario like Clara? Or do you want to be faced with a deficit? Rushing out, taking blanket advice can lead you to a deficit like this. One simple error can create a huge turnaround in your benefit that looks significantly different. On the surface, it may not seem like this decision means all that much for Clara. Both her and her ex-spouse had similar benefits. So how could it make such a huge difference? Timing is key when it comes to making your Social Security elections, whether that's for your personal benefit, a widow's benefit, divorce benefit, any benefit. Timing is why general advice doesn't work in Social Security consults. You can't just say everybody should wait until 70 or everybody should take at 62. Everybody's timing is different. Everybody's scenario is different. We've laid out 2 widow's benefit scenarios for you here. While we think that this is pretty encompassing of most people's scenarios, we do understand that yours could be unique or could be very different than these. And so we encourage you to reach out. Let us walk through your scenario. Help us find your exact right time. As usual, we're thankful that you joined us for this video. Like and subscribe. We'll be pushing out more content just like this, and we hope to help people like you receive the most out of their benefits, because people like you spent 30 or 40 or 50 years paying in, and you deserve to get all of your money out.